it's so I put it on peak, and obviously I'm not familiar with peak and getting some pretty obviously it bounces around a lot more.
Yes, especially if you're holding it in your hand. But regardless, they say that on this machine, the peak is more experimental, but if you want to get more subtleties to come out, if your levels are really low, that's the way to bring them up.
Well, that's why I did it because they're sensitive. And they said, no, there's something going on since we bought the house. We did a good job checking it, but we feel like there's something. Well, I did find a booby trap that they didn't catch, which is becoming a big booby trap. Is garage door openers are just like a Wi-Fi router now,
Oh yeah.
and that was hitting their kitchen area. That's what she felt bad was in the kitchen. Of course, right across the kitchen was a garage.
Okay,
But
let me confirm your um
around the house here,
so you are on magnetic field
yep, peak.
and you've got your auto all the way at the top. You got three little dealies, and I assume, yes, that you have this set just on normal 50 or 60 hertz. You don't have like the 16 hertz or the 5 hertz setting set,
No,
right?
no, I got it as regular setting, like it typically how it comes out of the factory.
Got it. All right. So let's start here at the beginning. You can walk me through this if you want.
Got it okay. Got so bedroom, magnetic field, and we'll walk around the house. The whole here. House with power off. Power off is off in this room. The whole house right now. So power off 0.60. They typically have power off most of the rooms anyway because they get the deal how EMFs are a problem. So to keep things cheap, they just turn off the power as much as they can or live that way as much as they can. Set it down. So my question is, I know that from an EMF safe house from your standpoints, usually like a 0.2, 0.3 RMS or lower. And this is about a 0.6, 0.7 RMS throughout the house, which is more consistent. It doesn't bounce around like the peak does.
Well, it's certainly not healthy as far as that goes, but we have to make the case. Is there anything we can do about it,
Power
right?
off in here right now? Yeah, they had the perfect power system on both panels. They have two 200 amp services. I didn't find any miswires. I mean, from my standpoint of finding them, but you did a panel diagnosis. You might find something with the neutral to ground, maybe behind the electric stove or something like that. But maybe they
Right.
wired it.
So is there, can you tell if there are wires underneath this?
Well, good question. There's definitely wires underneath the kitchen area. A lot they know about that. But no, there was not wires below this area. I mean,
And
there was no current on the water pipe.
yeah, that was the other thing is, okay, so if no current on that, then we have what else might be flowing around this? Of course, what's the magnetic field outside the house versus inside the house?
It's the same thing, zero point 0.6, zero point 0.7 RMS around the house. So that's what
So,
was
so that means it's a grid, right?
right to grid. That's what I came up with as well because we had power off and around the whole house, power off. They didn't, they did have a smart meter. They know about that. They're going to try. They're going to get that off. They did put a temporary cover over. They made it themselves. I mean, that's how into this client was. They actually made his own little mesh over the smart meter. So I did a data log on the inside. There was nothing coming in from the meter where they spend their time. So it was doing a good job blocking it. But obviously, you know about the dirty power, switch more power supplies. Is so with power off, switch more power supplies, which we know perverts the frequency of the sine wave. Would that still affect the house even though power's off? I mean,
If it's
can it still affect them with the smart meter, dirty power wise, if power's off?
so there, the magnetic field coming from the power grid would have lots of those others from other people's houses, but their own house wouldn't necessarily be the cause in the power grid's magnetic field. With the power on, that would be coming into their power lines because that's current flowing into the wires. But if no current is flowing, then there's no current harmonic being put onto the wires. So if all the power is off, you shouldn't have a current wave from their own device. You'll get it
Right.
from the whole power grid just washing through the house.
Yeah. So how does that do that? So power's off. We know the power grid, but usually I can kind of catch it because of the usually I get, in St. Louis, you got the water pipe issue so much is a big booby trap in this area. I get, an amp, a quarter amp all the time coming through the water pipe. They don't have that. So even though there's power off, we know it's on the grid, but how does it get into the house like that?
So let me
Through,
draw a little
through the
picture.
two hots, the A phase, B phase. Then we have the secondary side of the transformer being bonded to the neutral, which in the neutral is also connected to grounding a conductor to the primary side too, right?
Well, is this a residential where the lines are buried or are they overhead?
No, they're buried.
All right. So let's say there's a green box that's a transformer,
Okay.
and this is a sidewalk, and there's a
Yeah.
green transformer, and here's another green transformer. So you got house one, house two, house three. All right, so let's do the same over here. We got another house, another house, another house, another transformer, and another transformer. So this is your neighborhood. Now we can get more specific if you want to describe your neighborhood, but I'm just going to do a case here for what I have seen.
Well, this is exactly the setup. They had their house is say in the middle here by the sidewalk, in the middle one.
This one here.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Then it has houses behind them. Okay. But they're pretty big yards, acre lots. And then obviously houses on the other side of the street, just like that.
Okay. So you got the power coming from here to here, then the power will be coming from here to here, and then the power will be coming from here to here. And if that were all it were, and that would be fine. Now let's say this is the best case scenario. The power comes in to here, goes to here, goes to here, goes to here. This is best case scenario. I can make a worse one by making closing the loop. Now let's say so the power comes to here, feeds this house, and feeds this house. This one feeds this house, this one feeds this house, and this house, and this one feeds that house. So the current comes to this house and then goes back. But as you know, there is also a ground rod at each house. So each house has the neutral grounded, and the neutral is the return current wire. So the current comes out on the red, and at everybody's meter that's grounded or their main panel has a grounded neutral. So the return current is stuck into the earth. So this first transformer comes to this house, goes here, so you can have some return current going back here. Comes here, you'll have some return current going back here. This one returns back here. But the strange thing is, all of these neutral currents, return currents, are trying to get back to home. And home is a substation or maybe just a larger, higher voltage source that's feeding all of this. So all of these, even though they're coming back to their immediate one, they all are actually going back to the original source. So that means you have current going here, You have current coming here, current going here, and then all over here. So you have current, some of it's going back to its immediate, and some of it's going back to its long ways away. So this house right here has current flows from all of these houses, plus each one of these transformers has a return current going all the way back.
Does it usually travel in a straight line from that transformer, directly straight line to the substation?
It is fairly straight. It's the Earth is conductive, fairly conductive with minerals and things like that, and there'll be somewhat of a straight line unless you like stick a bunch of copper rods and then it takes those copper rods because you've provided a more conductive path that's not straight. So it's pretty much straight, even though I have found that the power grid is pretty much like a checkerboard when you get in a larger area. But that doesn't matter. The analogy here, this is a good case scenario. I'm going to show you a worst case scenario in a second. So you have Earth return currents that are creating magnetic fields. But this is a good scenario. Let's go to a bad scenario, which I've seen a lot with in my neighborhood and other people's neighborhoods, is the power company wants to have a redundant uh, neutral. There's also going to be a loop here. In case you lose this breaks, you have another pathway going around here. So the problem is this is called a loop. That means all of the power at this point has two pathways going back. It goes this way and it goes this way. And that's just like home wiring. If your path is split, your fields do not cancel. If there is 8 amps coming out on this wire, you need 8 amps going back to cancel it. Unfortunately, you have 8 amps coming here and then it splits. So there's 4 amps going this way and 4 amps going this way. That means 8 amps is coming, but there's only 4 amps trying to cancel it, so you don't. So this all of a sudden has a very large magnetic field because it's no longer canceled. This also has a large magnetic field because there's a current imbalance, there's not enough current. And this also has a large magnetic field because the currents aren't balanced because of this loop. That is what I suspect is happening is there's a loop in that neighborhood and then you add your cable internet to all of these houses, which is also another neutral. And then you add that magnetic field to this equation. And you said there wasn't any current on the copper pipes, so maybe we can remove that out of it. But this is what I have to look at when I'm going through a new home search for someone. I got to walk around the neighborhood and kind of gauge how much of a loop do we have in this environment where there's nothing you can do about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, we see that a lot as you've been in St. Louis as well. We see it a lot in the city, a lot. It's really bad. There's so much circulation. You can't get it below 3 or 4, 5 milligauss, 6 milligauss, 8 milligauss sometimes outside, though the inside's just screwed.
And this is buried.
Yeah, these
We're
are
not even
very
talking about overhead power lines,
well. That's what
which
we have
is
in the old part of St. Louis. All above, you have the mast, and you have all that, and then you have the cable lines, and so it's just a mess. And you might have a loose neutral if we ran into that before.
exactly. And these are best case scenarios. This is everything is working right.
Right.
If you had an open neutral or you had other problems, it only just gets worse from here. So this is the problem with the power grid is the way they configured it with a multi-grounded neutral. The neutral is a return current pathway. That's a problem. And the way they do loops in their neighborhoods, that's a problem. And everything overhead's a problem. So you Sometimes you can get lucky at the end of a line, you'll have no magnetic field. And I found that once in St. Louis in a sort of rural residential area. The person was at the end of a line and there wasn't this big loop. So it's possible to find, but if you're not
Yeah.
looking for it, if you don't have somebody like you with a meter, they don't have a chance.
Yeah. And of course, he had the tri-field. Problem with the tri-field, it gives a lot of false readings. What I mean by that is you get in like corners of the house and you most likely it feels like there's a ball of energy, and all of a sudden you get these weird high readings. I'm using my NFA. I'm like, it's not getting high in these areas, but his meter will pick up. So he was going crazy, because sometimes those tri-field on magnetic or electrical field will just go crazy, a lot more sensitive, like doesn't give very accurate readings a lot of times.
Well, especially the tri-field electric field is completely useless. Uh, anyway, don't get me started, but
Yeah.
it's a good thing that somebody has something to
Yeah.
say something that's going on to get you out there to get
Yeah.
using the NFA.
Yeah, he was like, we went to a corner of a room. He was, on magnetic fields, and my magnetic fields was, I had an RMS, so it wasn't going crazy. And it was like, zero point 0.6 like it was. And his was like going like something crazy. It was just like 10 milligosh, I'm like, no, it's not. There's no wire here, and there's no net current there. So there's no way this is accurate. It's just going crazy. So I do know that it does feel like that sometimes an electrical field like might be balled up energy in their specific area. It usually comes to a point of, well, there must be probably a net current or a wiring error if we're getting that type of readings with our meters. But with
Yes.
the Yeah, so I know that we have a loop sometimes in the house. Sometimes we just have that current. The normal way you find that at the panel, but then obviously you have to do switches on and off. There might be a loop that we've seen in southern Missouri where we found that before. I did a video about that one. That's what happened. There was a loop in that one room only.
Yeah, and you did the right thing here by turning all the power off. And I guess you could get an electrician to like unground the house and pull the neutral and you try to just totally remove it from the power grid so there's no I mean or just amp clamp over the wires and there's like zero, there's no well or anything and no current is coming into the grounding system of the home, then this house is not the problem. If there's no current on the grounding system of this house with the power off, then this house is not the problem. It's the environment around the house that's inheriting all this stuff.
Well, that's what I see now, especially since I got my Pico, my differential probe, and this is a lot better system. I do my spectrum view, but I'm shocked about what the Xbox, the switching, how much dirty power that one Xbox is creating for my clients' houses if they have that in the house. I think it's almost like a pool pump. It's so bad.
So Xbox meaning their video games?
The video games, that thing is just unbelievable. It'll put out about 1,500, where it's normally 50 in the house. It'll raise up to 1,500 with
Wow.
just by using the Stetzer meter.
Wow.
Yeah, just by using that 1,500 right there at the source, and then I'll have the. I get to do this in my house. I have a stepchild now. It's 14, and I'm trying to get him off that Xbox, but I'm trying to mitigate it to where the dirty power. And ever since I figured it out that even though I had all this filtration at my panel, I mean, I've done it right. And I got quad receptacles on both sides of the panel, the A phase, B phase. I plugging in the Stetzers, and then I've also got the VL3s at the panel as well. It didn't matter because he was producing source right here in the room next to me, and I was getting hammered with all this. It was 1,100 in my office, even though I have
Mm.
everything filtered at the panel. So I
Right.
had to put in a Stetzer right at his game, and then I have a couple other VL2s here around me as well. Now I got everything down. Like right now, it's down to 13 on the
Wow.
spectrum on the Stetzer. The whole house now is below 30. So I got
Wow.
it real good now. Some areas 10, 11. That's by using the Stetzer. But still, even my spectrum view, even though I got it down to 10 or 15 in here, I'll still get the switching frequency is around 50, 60 kilohertz in that area. It's still spiking, not a big spike. It's a real narrow one on my spectrum view. So it's still, with all the filtration I got, it's still putting out a lot of even though the numbers aren't high, it's still putting out a pretty high frequency.
Yeah, that makes the case solidly that if we had our wiring shielded and all of this energy was contained inside the wire, so it couldn't jump out into the room, you're left with just the Wi-Fi. So if you got the Bluetooth and you got the Wi-Fi turned off, you're, you're playing your video game exactly. Then how do you get hit? You're hit if your hands are somehow making contact. Usually the players are plastic, and if you got a wire going to your motherboard or whatever the Xbox is, PlayStation, you shouldn't be getting too much electricity. And when I was doing my postgraduate degree video game days, I had rubber gloves on. And, I don't play any more games anymore, just like I don't drink anymore. So it's just like, you know, those are the days. But there's a way to manage it. Now you got the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth off, right?
Oh yeah, the whole place is hardwired Cat 7. It's all done right now. 'Cause I'm staying here. I'm living here now, so I'm remodeling the whole house. It definitely was a fixer upper. It had a lot of issues, but my wife came with the house. And I said, "Well, you got a house, and I don't have one, so we'll go in there and move in here and make it right. The kids get to stay at the school districts, and the housing market is still really expensive here still. So I'm not in a position to go buy another place anyway. So it worked out well. I just have to fix it up. I need to dump a lot of money into it, but we've been doing that, and it's actually made a big difference for him. He's sleeping much better since I finally figured this out. And how I figured it out, I didn't know, but I was up here experimenting in my new office, this using my Spectrum View, and I was shocked. I was like, "What's going on here? This thing's going berserk!" And find out it was his Xbox. But since I mitigated it, he's sleeping better, not having nightmares anymore. And then once in a blue moon, he would wet his bed. Not that often, but he would. Right? I've heard that in the past could be dirty power creating that more likely to happen. I know that Eric Winheim in California said he had a client. She was older and she'd wear a diaper at night because she would just, middle of the night, just pee her pants and even everything in her pants. As soon as she got the dirty power resolved, she never had a problem since.
Great.
So Rico's doing much better. He wasn't speaking very well neither. He had a problem talking. So now that I got him cut back on trying to get him off the games, but I'm trying to do a little bit at a time. And but he's speaking much better. Even he says I feel much better now just by doing
Well,
that.
well, the even if the kid was playing 2 hours a day, using that as a massive motivational inspiration. If I get all my homework done, if I get all my chores done, if I get the lawn done, nice to everybody, and I get to play my game, it can, you can work it out, right? If
That's
it
right. That's
if
that's
it's
what we're doing.
if it's just all stacked up and incentivized, it's probably better than that. Maybe he'll, going through the phase and he'll get more friends and more girlfriends and everything it'll just go away, right? So, um, it's really hard, that age. Oh my God. But, I think Friends is probably the best thing to help a teenager, a 14-year-old. Geez, it's a tough, tough time.
Yeah, they do everything through the gaming. They that's how they do everything. They don't really. There's no one outside anymore. And I was really hard on the very beginning. Then I know I had to let back. I was because I wasn't happy because I was constantly. But he's so physically addicted to the game, so I reduced it where he has to be off by 6 or 7 at night, no later than that. But he was on it, and during summer vacation, he would stay on it. 24 hours.
Right.
They don't even leave the room. They'll actually find ways to pee in the room, not leave the room. That's how
Yeah.
bad it is.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do that anymore. So, but that's where these kids are at, and because he doesn't talk very well, he doesn't have a lot of confidence by going out meeting friends. It is all online now. But anyway, that's another note. But I know a lot of people are going through this. That's why I kind of want to include this on the video because people can hear this and understand that this can be
Oh,
big part of the problem.
unbelievable. And the microbiome, the bacteria in the body around that energy. Just from the body being in battle, you being doing the video game, the stressors that your body it ruins your sleep because you are in life and death battles, right? So not even the electromagnetics of the frame, but just that 6 to 8 hours of entrainment. You can't shut your brain down. And so you're good that you're saying, you're really good at nighttime light and stuff like that. Getting to shut off by 7, he needs at least 2 hours to get his brain unentrained before it cools and rinses by 11 o'clock. And then the other patterns can start to detox and to rinse the liver, and all the other processes can happen naturally. Otherwise, if he's playing till 1 a.m., then no melatonin is produced, cancer, all the other stuff is totally shot. His hormones are totally off. He can't remember anything. His schoolwork is shot, and then he can't interact because he can't be genuine. And the first thing I notice when I'm really fatigued is I can't be real in real time. So being an adolescent, I'm sure that his courage, his courage to whatever it is, he's trying to use the game in order to develop his courage. But as you know, in real life, you're a really good people person. And that's where relationships is where life happens. Starts and stops with relationships. And until he learns how to have the courage to interact, that's where life happens.
I'm gonna go, since we're on this subject, I'd like to ask you a question. I think after reviewing Setzer's Dirty Power and a lot of videos and what he's had to say, being a working for the U.S. military as I guess he was a pilot. Was he a pilot? Anyway, he kind of has secret clearance. I think he was invited to go to Russia and review some of their documents over there and talk about Havana syndrome. Um, the impression I'm getting that when they poisoned the Americans in the embassy there, I don't think by reviewing what he had to say, I think it was actually they're using electrical wiring as a way to poison the embassy. Wouldn't it be much easier to do it that way? Because, for example, we both know that if you put up an aluminum foil on the wall, which of course the more metal you have, the problem is you have to worry about reflection. But like in my previous house, the villa, I had to put aluminum foil there and ground it because I was getting my neighbor's wiring. But if you don't ground it, it doesn't block the electrical fields. It actually made it a little bit worse because it didn't have the cancellation effect. It made it come in even further from a neighbor's walls there. So if someone has aluminum foil up and you're getting dirty power, you're still getting the electrical field. In that electrical field, you would still be getting the dirty power too, correct?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't stop. So why doesn't aluminum foil stop unless you ground it? Why did it stop the kilohertz frequencies?
If it's on the wires, it's in the electric field.
Right.
And possibly, it could be in the current wave as well. But regardless, think of it as the wire is the medium that the energy is traveling on, and it's traveling around this wire. So here's the home base for that. Now, this energy that's rotating around this wire will be seeking a pathway back home. All energy comes out and then back to source. If it's current, the current has to have a circuit, it has to be a circle. So that energy in the electric field is around the wire, and if you have that aluminum plate there, it's conductive. It will be attracted to it if it's grounded because that's the pathway back home. If it's not grounded, it'll just run on it as it continues. It'll, that's nice. That's nice it's a nice support for what I want to do. So I'm just going to use it and keep going. So, like you said, you can pull these electric fields or contain them with a grounded medium. So I agree with you. It could have been that medium in the Russian embassy, that how they fried people. My understanding was they used microwave and beamed it in there, but I don't care. Doesn't matter. You could probably do the same thing with either one.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Because why wouldn't he do that? Because you still get radio waves, and you don't have to worry about going through a thick wall. And if they tried to mitigate it by putting aluminum foil, they'll block it after they kind of figured out maybe what was going on. They could continue to so fry you through the electrical field of the wiring unless it was grounded. They probably didn't. Even if they knew about blocking it. Hey, we're figuring this out. I think we're getting radiated. We're getting fried through the walls. Maybe we're trying to hear what we're trying to say, whatever the reason was. But it still wouldn't stop them from being fried if they were running through the wires.
I have not heard a scholarly report on the medium of what frequency was used in Havana syndrome. I have people speculating, and I have people that have said, well, there's a patent somewhere around 3.2 gigahertz, 3.2 to 3.4, possibly for this type of whatever you want to call it, brain damage. Okay, so there's a patent for that. There's also, we know all about the hum and the vibration, where you can take actually very low frequencies and shake the brain, exactly what's happening right now with weather modification. So we're talking 4 to 6 times a second shaking your brain is traumatic. Traumatic. And that's 4 or 6 times a second. So they talk about, well, two beams are triangulated and the resulting number is the damage. So you can take dirty electricity A and dirty electricity B and merge them together. So whatever frequency is, it could be 50 kilohertz here and 50.1 kilohertz here, and the difference results in what the damaging frequency is. So the people that I follow with targeted justice, they're kind of scrambling. Nobody has the technology to really analyze any one of their target individual of what frequency they're actually getting hit with. They just walk around with a tri-field and they go, "Oh, I see it's high. I'm getting hit." And they have zero cognitive ability to realize that they're just measuring their Wi-Fi router, their cell phone, or something else, and haven't been able to isolate by turning off their power, doing exactly what you've done, eliminate the variables, and what do you have left? Oh, that's the power grid. You're not getting hit by the power grid. You're getting hit by a targeted weapon. Now, how is that weapon targeted? Is it your smart meter at a certain time putting a frequency in? So we have to have a log of time that all of a sudden goes crazy at a certain time. Or we have to have a spectrum analyzer that tells you exactly what frequency all of a sudden comes up and at a particular time to see what is the frequency used to target you. Nobody's done that. And they're not hiring me to do it, so I'm just like, forget it. You don't want to fix your wiring. You don't want to fix the magnetic field loops. You don't want to turn off your Wi-Fi router. You're not going to let your cell phone go.
Yeah, I've had 7 people thought they were being targeted, and 5 of the 7 I got 5 of the 7. The Wi-Fi router got turned back on. They didn't know it, and ended up being the Wi-Fi router. It was off, but they did a reset download to a new, I guess, a new system. And when they reset it, they turn it back on, and they'll be burning on the side. And they're swearing up and down that they're being targeted. And I said, no, your Wi-Fi router just came back on. Another time was a decked phone that they had that they thought was off, in their office, and it was on, and that's what was getting them. But I think a lot of times we get hypochondriac about that type of stuff about being targeted. And it's usually just ourselves that I'm finding. The other 2 people, I just say, listen, I can't test if you're being targeted or not unless they come to your home and look what's inside your house first. We can have a long conversation all we want, but until I test your house, we can't figure out anything. just like you said, I have to eliminate all the variables. And I think that's majority what it is more that's being targeted. You definitely can't use a tri-field to figure out anything if being targeted or not.
Right. And in my personal experience, these guys are getting much more sophisticated, and that's why I've been spending so much money recently in the last couple of years figuring out what this hum vibration is. And we're dealing with frequencies that are very, very low, 100 below 100 hertz, just 100 hertz, 90 hertz is the hum. And then there's all these frequencies in the head and in my body that are below 20 hertz. So, maybe there's a HARP weapon atmospheric that's converging very high frequencies, and the result is very low frequencies. I don't know yet, but unless you have a spectrum analyzer and looking down there, you're not going to find it. So I'm really glad that you're one of the few people that is invested in that equipment, because if you really do have a targeted individual, it may not be showing up anywhere else other than really, really low. So you got the equipment if you need it.
Well, I got the spectrum, obviously on the wiring, but I don't have the spectrum in the air.
Your microphone.
Yeah, I know. I got that here. That's obviously I still have not. The last part is why I wanted to set this time up is I know we got a little bit long with this here, but I'm glad we did it because I just learned so much just now. But I need to learn how to use this thing better. I kind of forgot.
I hear it now. You're using it now. It's on. I can hear you speaking it.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can use it
Well,
as your I don't know if you have it on your Zoom settings. We can look at it. It's probably if you get into your audio, your little microphone, and you hit the arrow up, you'll go to audio settings, and it probably has select a microphone. And you probably have two or three different microphones you can select.
yeah, microphones access on. Yeah. So, do you think can we convert to focusing on my microphone and getting the setup again? Because I knew you spent so much time with me before, and I let it go because I got busy, and then I just got busy doing data center presentations and
Sure.
things like that. I'm just
I've got
kind of
another call in 20 minutes, but let's
well. We
get
can
started on this.
let's just set up another time then. Let's focus more on this for 20 minutes because probably need another hour with you. I'll just buy another hour, focus just on this and
Okay.
nothing else.
Well, is there something small just to take a baby step here?
Yeah, let's do that. We can do a baby step.
Just whatever helps you go in the right direction because it's so complex.
Well, I know. I thought, well, maybe if I could drive out your way and have you show me in person, I'm more of a
Sure.
visual. That's what I'd rather do. Drive out your way if I can meet you at your house or someplace and just spend a few hours together and show me how to use this thing. Because I think
Well,
this is a big deal because of data centers and everybody's worked up. We've had a lot of success here about stopping these things. And I mean, I've given a lot of people confidence. No one's when I presented everything to the cities or the councils or wherever, they're all like, "Oh, great, you're a building biologist," but no one wants to talk to me, of course. But what I've been able to do is give these people a lot of confidence that they got to stop this. And how they've been stopped is by sheer numbers, and everybody's, people are fighting. I mean, wish they would have fought like this when it came to 5G and smart devices. We wouldn't have to worry about the data centers. The reason why there's data centers is because everybody got smart devices.
yeah.
So they can't. You could have got done with this a long time ago, but now you're at the very end of the rope, and now they want to destroy everything. Versus which when they got involved in all these smart devices, they got sucked into that scam. Now they need all this data that they're downloading through the smart devices, and then, of course now the TVs. Now you can't even turn them off. You can't even take the TVs apart to pull out the chip. Because when you turn off the TV, the Wi-Fi still stays on anyway. And it's amazing. I mean, everything just stays on. Nothing, even if the TV's off, unless you unplug it, it stays on. So that's what's really interesting about this profound moment we are in history, that if we just would have stopped in the very beginning, there's no safety guidelines for this stuff, and to stop it, we wouldn't have had any of these data center problems. But at least we're here. At least people woke up to where they're understanding now. EMFs are getting a lot more notoriety now because people are interested in it because it's they're realizing how big of a disaster this is.
Yeah, and but as you know, I've been complaining a lot about the hum and the vibration. I think people are going to object to the sounds around these things before they become electrically sensitive. They'll be feeling the hum or hearing the hum and go, "That's annoying as hell," because that's what I've been seeing in other people reporting problems about. Is not the electromagnetic fields, but the hum.
Well, the hum, as far as the hum, they actually can hear the hum. You talking about the hum they can't hear?
No, the people that hear the hum.
Like how close are they with the dead? You're talking about a mile or two, 5 miles away type
No,
thing.
it's pretty close. They're like, across
Yeah,
the street and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
that's pretty obvious though.
Yes. So they put two and two together. Of course, there's a hum, just hearing the motors and hearing the thing, but also there's a hum in their power. So that
Yeah,
hum, and once the person becomes sensitized to that hum, you can't go back. As you know, being electric sensitive, it's your body's just going to help you get away from that. And I think it's just going to snowball from there. They're going to start to feel the frequencies after that they can't hear, the lower frequencies, and then they're toast because I know how that feels. And both my wife and I feel the frequencies, the weather, as well as it's like an earthquake, a constant earthquake. So I've said to other people this before. We need more people sick because unless they get sick, they will not be put into a corner where they have to fight them way out of the corner. They'll always have an out. Well, it's okay. I'm getting better enough. They're giving us money. They're paying us extra $50 a month for the compensation of this. So that's pretty good. And everything will become in perspective when they start getting their asses kicked. So I'm just waiting. You know, they don't want to pay for it now. Fine. If they're not going to be complaining, um, we've complained. We've put out so much information. We've told everybody, but the people that are just like, pry it out of my cold dead hands, that will not give up their cell phones ever. The only thing that will take it out of their hands is them getting sick. So we just have to wait. I mean, you're doing a noble job. I'm not giving any more time to people unless they're paying me because it's like it bleeds me to death. And I'm so busy up in Greenbank, it's just like I'm doing great work up there. I'm really, really happy about it. And I'm just waiting for people to get sick because I'm tired of trying to talk to anybody that's not ready for it.
Andrew, I'm glad you said that because I think it's very important you say that because that's what happens, and that's what even